Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you see the title. I'm coming with a video that highlights institutional racism, in this case, medical racism. Now, I know this video probably won't get a lot of shares, a lot of views, a lot of likes and comments because people don't like when you talk about the uncomfortable truth. But as this article was written in the Goldsboro News Argus, it was alerted to me by Miss Sylvia Barnes, formerly of the NAACP, and I also looked it up online. The article details how a biased test has kept thousands of black people, 14,000 to be exact, from getting a kidney transplant. Now, this was found out because of one Jasmine Evans. Now, Jasmine Evans was discovered to have a bad kidney at the age of 17. Nevertheless, she continued on her life, her education, and she began to be a student, if I'm not mistaken. And currently, or as late as last year, she was currently a graduate student at Temple University in Pennsylvania. Now, she had been put on the list in 2019 for a kidney transplant. However, while she was waiting, the doctor that was seeing her said that she should have been put on the list as early and even probably earlier as 2015. Now, why? What is the reason that Miss Evans and thousands of other black kidney patients were not placed on this list? Now, this once again discrimination. There's no other way to put it. This medical racism is because of a racially biased test that when the test is read, there are certain curves or algorithms that make black people's kidneys appear healthier than others. Now, the article talks about, and you can find this article online. There are several articles, but this article highlights that the issue was a once widely used test that overestimated how well black people's kidneys were functioning, making them look healthier than they really were. There was a automated formula that calculated results differently for black people than white people. Now, this difference of calculation delayed the diagnosis of organ failure and disallowed the black patients to be evaluated for a kidney transplant. Now, it also highlights other disparities that already made black patients more at risk of needing a new kidney. Now, they said a few years ago, the National Kidney Foundation uh, began to prod or persuade the medical facilities and doctors to use race-free equations in calculating kidney function. So they're admitting that they use race-based equations or race-based ideology or even race-based stereotypes, as you'll hear later. This said the transplant network gave hospitals a year to uncover which black kidney candidates could have qualified for a new kidney sooner if not for the race-based test. Now, of course, the wait for kidneys in America is very, very long. So what they did was they tried to make it right. They accelerated the people. So, like, say if they were originally supposed to be placed on the list 4 years ago, but the test that they were taking did not show their dire need for a new kidney, what they are doing is accelerating that person up 4 years, which consequently it allowed, if I'm not mistaken, Miss Evans to receive her kidney last year. And fortunately, she is doing well. But it says between January 2023 and March, more than 4,300 black people have had their times modified, meaning they were disqualified or discriminated against just because of a test that ruled their results or analyzed their results differently. And once again, it is a larger problem. And they talk about for these algorithms and treatment guidelines that adjust the answers according to race or ethnicity in a way that puts people of color at a disadvantage. What more can this be than medical racism? Now, once again, I did a video about, a month ago about the true definition of racism. Racism is not just saying, hey, I hate white people or I hate black people. Racism is institutional, as we see here. Institutional policies, studies, algorithms that specifically disadvantage one group and favor another group. Now, this article clearly states that these tests were calculated in a way that put people of color at a disadvantage. And once again, they admit, given how embedded these equations are in medical software and electric records, even doctors may not realize how widely they impact care decisions. And once again, one doctor said race has been misused in clinical algorithms for decades. This is just a snippet of what normally goes on. Now, this was caught, but as you see, it had flown under the radar for decades. And they even mentioned another stereotype based on so the test which we are talking about said that it evaluated kidneys health based on how quickly a waste compound called creatine gets filtered from the blood. In 1999, an equation used to calculate the test was modified to adjust black people's results compared to everyone else's based on some small studies of a number of black people long ago about black people having a difference in creatine levels. So, once again, this is, people don't understand the history of medicine and medical racism, psychological, mental health racism in this country. Now, just in 1970, which is only 50 years ago, which is, less than, a generation from when I was born, they were actively sterilizing women, black women particularly, in Kinston, Lenoir County, the next county over from Goldsboro, without their knowledge. And we all know about things like Tuskegee and, the diagnosis or the belief that blacks held inferior mental capacities than whites and all of those things. But this is just a uncovering of some of the deep embedded racism, not only in medicine, but all walks of the American life. Now, of course, there are no black people hanging from trees, and somebody just can't come in and take your daughter out in the middle of the night and have your way with her, and you can't do anything about it. Not that type, but it's still embedded in the laws, policies, and procedures and institutions such as we see here. So I'm fortunate that, this lady and these other thousands of black people have gotten the opportunity to receive that kidney. But this just leads to wonder. This just leaves one to ponder what else is biased in the medical industry, in the educational industry, in the judicial industry, the entertainment industry, the labor industry, banking industry, the food industry, all of these things. And I think if you ever read Frances Cress Welsing, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's The ISIS Papers, she was very, very astute in laying how institutional racism works. And this is just an example. Thanks to Miss Sylvia Barnes for sending this information. Of course, I know probably, a lot of people are not going to want to like this video because we want to think and believe that we are all living into this, everybody hold hands, everybody starting at the same beginning line, that was long ago mentality of what reality is. But as we see here, there are still some remnants from the tenets and the ideologies of the foundation of this nation that every now and then they rear their ugly head and say, hey, well, yeah, this has been like this, but hey, we, nobody. Yeah, so it's things like this that reminds us of how far we have to go. Even, the doctor just admitted, we have a long way to go to solve this, and there's no telling how many more issues there are. But until we have these conversations, is until people are willing to come forth and admit that there are some disparities in all walks of life, then we're going to continue to have these things unchecked. But when we begin to evaluate, when we begin to have the hard conversations, then we'll begin to be able to move forward. And shout out to my girl Sharice Boyd Jackson. I think we're almost, maybe even past the year when she received her kidney. It's past the year. She just did an article, but I know some kidney patients, and I think this month or last month was Kidney Awareness Month. So this is very fitting article to read this month. But this is something that we have to be aware of, that there are still some disparities, and let's be honest, some racism policies in many aspects of American life, and we would be disillusioned, or we would be you know disingenuous to not address those things. But 919-587-7782. You can leave your opinions and thoughts in the comments. Let me know what y'all think. Peace and blessings.